What if there was a bell in your house that you could ring whenever you wanted to quit? When your marriage got hard? When parenting felt impossible? When following Jesus required everything that you had? Navy SEALs know the truth. Instructors don't decide who makes it through Hell Week. You do. We're diving into Lone Survivor to discuss endurance, brotherhood, and what it takes to finish the mission with an empty clip.
The movies and stories we love are gateways to see ourselves and God in new ways.
Every great story borrows its power from a larger story, the story that's written on our hearts and woven into the fabric of our very being.
Hello and welcome to the Men at the Movies podcast. My name is Paul McDonald, and joining me from way up north in New Hampshire, although without the accent weirdly, is my friend Rory. Hey Rory, how you doing today, man?
What's up, brother? How you doing? Listen, I can turn on the accent if you want. Listen, guy, I can turn it on.
He's from New Hampshire. And so you may have heard his voice on the podcast before. We weren't talking about a movie, but I was actually on your podcast a couple times now. We were talking about Man Camp, and I was talking about driving through a hurricane, and that
was wild.
It was such a fun story. I was like, I kind of want to release this on my own channel. So he gave me permission to use that. And yeah, so his voice may be familiar if you've been tracking with us or tracking with his podcast, the Dangerous Man podcast, which really aligns with the movie that we are talking about today, Lone Survivor, because your big theme with the Dangerous Man podcast is it's not trying, it's training. With that tagline of it's not trying, it's training. And so with that perspective, that lens, when I harassed you to the point where you're like, fine, I'll do it. I'll come on your podcast. I'll do a movie. What was it?
I wanted to be on here a long time ago. Listen.
So what was it about this movie that made you pick Lone Survivor?
You know what's funny? So when you and I were going back and forth, and this, honestly, I will admit this in front of everybody. I don't know why I do this, but you were like, all right, just pick a movie. And I'm like, Paul, just pick a movie. Okay, bud, you pick a movie. Go ahead. Like, that's like literally like, that's like, oh, just pick an arm workout. No, I want to do them all. Like, it's impossible. And so I'm like racking my brain. I'm like, okay, so I went back and through your movies. I'm like, which action movies he's done? Because I immediately, like, action movies are just obviously that's my go-to. Yeah. I can't stand chick flicks. I can't stand dramas. I don't even like thrillers, like, ugh. And so, like, when I go to movie and I'm like, what I want to see war, I want to see fighting, I want to see brotherhood. So I'm like trying to figure out all these things, and I'm like, I can't pick a movie. I literally can't pick a movie. So then I texted you, and I'm like, what haven't you done yet? And so that was kind of the premise. And I remembered the movie vaguely. So I'm like, all right, I'm going to go back and watch it again, just to kind of freshen up on it. And then, yeah, I remembered how brutal, how just destructively honest the movie was. And just the picture that it paints was so intense. I was like, yep, this is the one. And so why Lone Survivor? Because of brotherhood and because of tough sons of guns who, when they're in the fight, they're in the fire, they're shot, they're beaten, they're falling down cliffs, their bones are sticking out, and you all right? Yeah, I'm good, man. Like, that's why, because they didn't quit, man. They just kept fighting.
Yeah, and that's what really calls to us. And we're not, when we talk about enjoying the battle and like you said, and this is a bloody movie.
Oh yeah.
It's not that there's a sense that we enjoy it, not because we enjoy the pain, or definitely don't enjoy seeing the outcome, when the Chinook goes down, and that just takes all your breath away. But it's because of what it because we see a reality that we don't often see.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
John Eldridge talks about how we're amphibians. We live in two worlds. We live in the spirit world and we live in the physical world. And a lot of times we feel, and it's super cool. This idea of frogmen is what they call the seals call themselves, because they're water and land. And so we want to be like that. And I remember reading the book years ago, and I was like, oh man, this from a spiritual aspect, I want to be a spiritual seal. I want to be a warrior. I want to be capable of going spiritually downrange, engaging the enemy, fighting for those we care about. And like you said, our brothers. And it's interesting because I had this movie tagged to do, but I was planning on doing it myself because it's Lone Survivor. So I was like, I've done a couple of those by myself. And so I was like, I feel like this is a solo. And then you were talking about it. And sort of like I said a few minutes ago, as I watched this movie and the story of this movie and the book, and I'll pull in some quotes from the book.
Right.
And then with your focus, and we were even talking beforehand about how that podcast is less of a podcast and more of an extension and expression of who you are, of it's not trying, it's training. And you look at that and you say, okay, Brotherhood, it's brutal, it's honest, and Brotherhood. Like those were the words that you just used.
It was brotherhood, brutality. There's a level of honesty. There's protection. There's accountability. Come on. Like there's so many avenues and there's so many characteristics of this movie that just speak to me, to my soul, to my life, to where I've come from, what I've come through, the battles I've fought through, whether it's with other brothers or, like you said, whether it's the lone survivor. There's just so many things in this movie that speak to your soul as a man that I think probably any guy could relate to.
Yeah, it speaks, and this is what we say, that the movies we love speak to some wiring, some DNA that God put in us. And so I want to pull a quote here, because one of the questions is of why. Why would you go through this? And so I want to do this quote. I want to set up our first clip, which is the first scene of the movie, which is actual footage from Buds, which is where people who want to become a SEAL, they go through this training. And the training all sort of culminates in Hell Week. But so, and in the book, Marcus Luttrell, he spent a lot of his time writing about what it meant to be a SEAL, what it took to become a SEAL. And he says, these men of the special forces have had other options in their lives, other paths, easier paths they could have taken. But they took the hardest path, that narrow causeway that is not for the sunshine patriot. They took the one of the supreme patriot, the one that may require them to lay down their lives for the United States of America. The one that is suitable only for those who want to serve their country so bad, nothing else matters. And if we sort of take out the nationalism part and put in our Savior, we put in God. Jesus said, wide is the path that leads to destruction and narrow is the way it leads to life.
Yeah.
Jesus invites us to lay down our lives so that we may find it. But that idea, like this path is the one that is suitable only for those who want to serve their country, or in our interpretation of this, who want to serve and follow Jesus so bad that nothing else matters. And so I want to play this scene from Buds, because this is this used to be so inspiring for me to watch it. I was like, yes, I want to go through this. I want to do this. Now that I feel like I've been doing this long enough, I'm on the back end of it. It wrecks me because to me, I know how hard this path is. And I know the dudes who've rung the bell, who have opted out. And so those two ideas of knowing how hard this path is and knowing how easy it would be to ring the bell. And then sort of the question I have for you, Rory, on the back end of this is, When have
Sure.
you wanted to ring the bell, and why have you not?
You got it.
6 times 3. Hurry up, hurry up, hurry up. Hurry up. 18. Oh!
Ring the bell 3 times, put your helmet on the ground, you're done.
You don't make it! You do it again! Have you ever tested this hard ever in your life?
Never.
Winning here is a conscious decision. Make up your mind whether you want to pass or choose to fail.
All right, now, gentlemen, I'm going to introduce y'all to something called not being able to breathe.
Andrew, come back. Come back to the light. Take all this shaking and all this cold, harness it, turn it into aggression. You just prove to your bodies, through your mind, that you can push yourself further than you thought possible. Go get wet! Run!
I met my limit, so that's it.
You sure you want to be here?
Yes, I do.
Are you absolutely sure?
I'm positive.
Whatever you have to do, just find an excuse to win. Keep going.
It pays to be a winner.
I like having my buddies that I can depend on, and I would like for them to be able to depend on me.
You guys are our band of brothers.
Man, I didn't know you were going to visually seduce me and put me in a mood. I tell you what, being able to go through the clips like that, oh, we're going to get it today. Oh, man. All right. So your question was about the bell.
When have you
right?
wanted to ring the bell, and why didn't you?
Oh, you just come out the gate flying like Tyson? Jeez, man. Come on. Man, I love the concept. Like, could you imagine if that's how we lived our lives? If there was a literal bell, like in our homes, oh my goodness, I'm about to do this. I'm about to buy a bell in our homes that we were like, when we were just at our most like vulnerable moment, ready to quit. And there was a bell in our house to let everybody know, hey, dad's bowing out. Oh my gosh. I don't think we would ever touch that bell, man.
But then on the other side,
I love the idea.
But on the other side, like when you've gone through something and you know it, then you're like, bang, 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 bang. I made it through this. What was it? I made it through the
maybe
ones.
2 bells then. Now I got to get 2 bells. The victory bell and the defeat bell. When was there a time? Oh, man. I mean, the easy one for me would be to go back not too long ago, probably about, I don't know, it was a few years ago. I got to a point where just the stresses in my life, the things that were going on, I am a father of 3. and coming up on 10 years married. We planted a church here. I run a podcast that's going to turn into something that I'm not prepared for yet, but I'm training to get there, man. I'm training to get there. And and this was before we even started the podcast too. And just life has this way, just like how they do in Buds, of pushing you to the break. And I see that scene, and you see those guys, and you see them going through hell. You see them spitting and snotting everywhere. And that one scene where the waves washing over them, and they're all singing Silent Night. I was like, oh man, that's the point you get to, right? Where you're like, I'm ready to quit, but I can hear them singing, so I'm going to keep singing. I'm going to keep moving. I'm going to keep grinding. And so it was probably a couple years ago, I got to this point where I started to get hit with these really heavy demonic thoughts that I would say I had not really experienced before. I've been through tremendous amounts of things. Like I said, I'm a survivor of domestic violence in my previous marriage, and I'm not just talking some slaps. I'm talking legitimate hospital trips and police and all. Yeah, it was absolutely brutal. And I definitely wanted to ring the bell multiple times during those 2 years. I just lived with the bell. But it was a couple years ago, and I got to this point where these thoughts started coming in my head, and they were the quitting thoughts. And I mean end quitting. I know you probably can't say that term on YouTube, but they were the unaliving thoughts. And I remember I was like, yeah, whatever. That's not an option. And I first started kind of wrestling with it for the first time in my life. And I'm like, okay, this is weird. Why am I thinking these things? So in my prayer time, I'm writing this stuff down, and I'm like, what's going on? I'm trying to come up with a strategy to defeat it. And every freaking thing I did, Paul, I couldn't get it. I couldn't get it out of my head. I couldn't get it out of my thoughts. And then it started to multiply. And it started to become a regularity in my life. And it was just dark thoughts. I was having crazy dreams where people that I love and cared about were getting murdered. And then there were dreams where I was doing the killing. There was some, and I'm like, what? I didn't know what was going on. I've never dealt with this before. And so I'm like, all right, God, I'm giving this up to you. I know you want me here. I'm not giving in, right? We do the tough guy thing. I'm not going to quit, right? So then what the enemy does is oh, you're not going to quit? Well, let's crank up the heat to 1,000 and see how you do that. And then he cranked up the heat pretty intense with a lot of isolation, a lot of self-medication, and some of the behaviors that I was doing at the time, I didn't realize it, but they were inhibiting me from kind of breaking through. And then it just got turned up to the point where it was dude, I'd be driving down the highway, 95 in the left lane. Let's go. That's how we roll in New England. If you're driving a Prius in front of me and you're doing 60 in the left lane, you're getting run over. What's wrong with you? And so I'm rolling down the highway, and I'm like, dude, just jerk the wheel. That bridge looks beautiful. Just jerk the wheel. It's a car accident. Nobody will ever know the difference. Then I'd be at home, and I'm cleaning my pew-pews, and I'm like, dude, I can totally fudge this and make it look like an accident right here, right now. We're done with everything. And I remember one time where I was sitting there, I was cleaning out my gun cabinet, going through, doing all the oil and all that fun stuff. And I love doing that. That's just a little oh, just before bedtime, let's just play with some guns, whatever. It's fun. It relaxes me. And so I'm doing that. And I remember the thought at that moment being so overwhelming that it was just dude, just all you have to do, one round in the chamber, turn it towards you, and call it a day. And, dude, I remember being like, what the heck? You know better than this. What is wrong with you? Why is this overwhelming you? Why is this pressing on you? Why is this the thought, you know? And I remember in that moment again, because all throughout this process, I'm crying out to God, like, deliver me from this. This isn't like this. If this wins, we're in deep shit.
Right.
And yeah. And I'm like, you can't do this. You have children, you have a wife, you have a church, you have friends. Like, what? Why are you fighting with this thing? And then it wasn't too long after that, just crying out to God and being like, I need you to deliver me from this. And it didn't happen. It didn't happen. The help I cried out for didn't come. And I'm like, oh, this is great. The one thing, of course. Everything else you asked me to do, I did. And I fought and I came through it. And now you're going to just be like, you're going to be quiet today. What are you off? Are you on coffee break right now? And so I'm like, God, what the heck what are you doing? And a couple days later, I hear, tell him. And I'm like, no. Because this whole point, Paul, I know it's freaking terrible. This whole point, or this whole process that I'm going through, this whole battle I'm fighting, I didn't even tell my wife. I didn't tell anybody. I was so mentally and spiritually isolated, and I was still praying. I was still reading. I was still preaching. I was still leading people. I was still helping others. I'm like literally dying inside. And people were like, hey, I lost my cat. And I'm like, screw Fluffy. You don't even know. And I'm saying that inside. And then outside, I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry for you. It's just a cat. No one cares. But anyways, but I'm like, so I'm going through the motions, right? But I'm still mentally completely isolated. And I hear this voice, tell him. And I'm like, okay. Then I attempt to start to explain it to my wife. And it goes a hard left south. Holy Chernobyl. Like, I was better off just shutting up, because it turned into something that I was like, and it went so left that it became something else that we started arguing about. And I'm like, well, we're just going to shove that one back down in there because, I remember the moment because I was like, oh, you told me to tell them they're not listening. Great. I'm done. And then the same thing came the next day. Tell him. And I'm like, he wasn't talking about just my wife. I'm like, I don't want to tell him. I don't want to tell my friends. I don't want to tell my best friends. I don't want to tell, like, my wife didn't listen, so why am I going to tell anybody else? And to be fair on her part, like, she did listen, but it just transformed into something else. She didn't hear it. And it's probably I just didn't effectively communicate it because I didn't really even know what the hell was going on with me. So long story short, the tell him is tell everybody. And I'm like, and I write this message and I show up Sunday morning.
Oh, wow.
And I tell our whole church. All my friends are there, like our church. Yeah. And I'm sharing this and I'm crying and I'm letting them know. And I'll tell you, in that moment, that was the moment it lost all of its power. Every drop of power it had on me was gone in that moment. As soon as I put it out into the light, right, it lost all its power. And from that moment on, it was like, oh, you needed to go through that. And because you were able, because the whole time you have that juxtaposition, that wrestling, right? Because I'm like, this isn't like, I'm not a quitter. I'm not a wuss.
Right.
I'm not leaving. No, I got more fights to do. Right. And I'm like psyching myself up, trying to pump myself. No, I'm bigger than this. I'm stronger. My God's bigger. My God's stronger. Shut up, devil. Like, I'm going through all of that. Right. And God's like, I just needed you to just put it here. Just release it. Let everybody know, hey, this is what you're fighting with. And it's funny because I'm usually one of the most authentic people you'll ever come across, which definitely rubs people the wrong way. People that try to be fake don't last very long around me. They're like, whoa, dude, you are way too real. But that was one thing that I was just like, no, I'm not going that level. And God's like, I need you to go to that level. And so going to that level, pushing myself beyond the break, right? Those guys that were just getting the waves washed over them and washed over them and washed over them. The same thing was happening to me day after day for almost a year and a half. And God was like, put it out, let it go, put it in the light. And I let it go. And from that moment on, it had no power. I shared my story multiple times now. But there were so many moments during that year and a half where it was like, yeah, let's set it up. Let's call quits. Let's ring the freaking bell because this is too much. Culture was too much. Society was too much. This was during the COVID years. Right. Like, I can't wait till the history books get written about that. No, they probably won't. But it was so isolating, so dark, and I'm watching everybody else's pain, and it was too much. It was way too much. And I remember getting to that point where I was like, ring the bell, ring the bell, ring the bell, ring the bell, like on your life. And putting it out there, God was like, no, you don't have to ring the bell. You don't have to put your helmet down. You don't have to quit. Put your helmet back on. Because now we're going somewhere. And so, yeah, I think that was the more recent one where it was like wanting to ring the bell, wanting to just call it quits. I mean, dude, life can be so absolutely obnoxiously brutal.
Yeah. And I think.
And unforgiving, just like Bud's. Brutal and unforgiving.
Yeah. And when you talked about having the courage to go up in front of your church after it had gone so poorly with your wife, like you're up there. It's like, this may be the end of my job.
Absolutely sweating.
Like they're going to have, who wants to listen to a pastor who goes through this, right?
Nobody.
It's like,
at least in my head, right. That's what I'm thinking.
And it feels like death in that moment.
Right.
It's like, no, anything but this, even as we're choosing to go through it. You're like, God, this feels like death, but because you said so, I'm going to go through this. I'm going to opt out of opting out.
Yep.
Right. And one of the, before their Hell Week in Bud's training from the book, one of the instructors said, you are about to experience a very searching and painful test. Each one of you is going to find out what you are really made of. And every step of the way, you will be faced with a choice. Do I give in to the pain and the cold, or do I go on? It will always be up to you. There's no quotas, no numbers. We don't decide who passes. You do. But I'll be there on Friday when Hell Week ends, and I hope to shake the hand of each and every one of you. That's the thing, right? Like, I remember John Eldridge was talking about the Wild at Heart docuseries and how they chose the men to do that, to go through that, because he said we had to be very careful because we had to pick men whose lives wouldn't blow up as a result of the warfare. And I was like, oh man, I want to be a dude like that. I want to have my life so put together that, warfare is not going to take me out.
Everybody wants to be a warrior until it's time to do warrior shit.
And what I realized, I got hit with something, and it always sort of sideswipes you, undercuts you, like comes out of nowhere. And I realized, just like you, like the warfare doesn't have the capacity to take you out. The warfare is not what blows up your life. You do.
Yep, 100%.
And another quote, and this is about dudes who did quit, who rang the bell. He said, I didn't think that any of the ones who quit were in much worse shape than they had been 12 hours before. They might have been a bit more tired, but we had done nothing new. It was all part of our tried and tested routines. And in my view, they had acted in total defiance of the advice handed to us by Captain McGuire. They weren't completing each task as it came, living for the day. They had allowed themselves to live in dread of the pain and anguish to come. And he told us never to do that, just to take it hour by hour and forget the future. You get a guy like that, a legendary U.S. Navy SEAL and war hero, I think you ought to pay attention to his words.
How much more should we be paying attention to God's word?
Yes.
Right? Like, how much? So you say, oh, he's done the training, he's done the fight, he's done the warfare, he knows what he's talking about. It's the same thing when it comes to God's word. He's done the fighting, he's done the warfare, he's done the training, he knows it all. So how much more emphasis should we put on God's word? Though he slay me, right? Though he slay me. I mean, yeah, you're going to get beaten. You're going to get, brutalized. You're going to get battle after battle after battle after battle. But are you all in? I mean, you see this nowadays, like, and especially now, as you're seeing all this like deconstruction. I'm deconstructing my faith, and I'm leaving the church, and I'm giving up. And it's like, well, no shit, they're giving up. You rock Jesus like an accessory. I'm not surprised you don't have the faithicals to make it through this. That's a new one for you. I saw your face. You're like, wait, what did you just say? Yeah. I'm not surprised. It blows my mind. And again, I can only speak from where I've come from. And because it's been so intense and so heavy and so much warfare, I'm just built that way. And so, one of the things God's had to teach me too is, hey, you don't have to turn down the intensity. You don't have to turn down like the high standards and demand, but you've got to learn how to be compassionate for those who don't have your strength. And I'm like, I don't want to. There's so much weakness. Right. And maybe it's because earlier along the lines, I realized that it's okay to be weak and still fight. It's okay to be wounded and still fight. A wound doesn't mean you have to tap out.
Yeah.
It just means you're weak. So what does the Bible say? The Bible says that when I am weak, he is strong, right? So God, I'm weak. I'm going to keep grinding. Yeah, I'm shot up. I'm broken. I'm beaten. But I need you to cover all my inadequacies, all my weaknesses, and all my wounds, and we're going to keep rolling. We're still in the fight. The quote that sticks out from this movie so bad that he says multiple times is never out of the fight.
Brave men have fought and died, building the proud tradition and fear of reputation that I am bound to uphold. I died up on that mountain. There is no question. A part of me will forever be up on that mountain dead, as my brothers died. But there is a part of me that lived because of my brothers. Because of them, I am still alive, and I can never forget that no matter how much it hurts, how dark it gets, or how far you fall,
We got a pulse.
you are never out of the fight.
You're never out of the fight. And if you think about it and make a mindset of that, you will do things in your future that you never thought ever possible if you just tap the mindset of like, I'm never out of this fight. My God is a conqueror. He says that I'm more than a conqueror. What the heck's more than a conqueror? Right? Like, have you ever thought about that? What is more than a conqueror? This is the way I would put it when I think about that verse, because everyone uses it, and I'm like, what is more than a conqueror? That's somebody who runs out into the battlefield butt naked, without a sword, without a shield, and they're like, come on, I'm ready to fight. You ain't ready. You ain't got you got nothing, but you know who has you. Yeah. And when you know who has you, you don't have to ring the bell. You don't have to put your helmet down. You don't have to tap out. Oh, it's going to hurt.
Yeah.
You're going to learn something today. Yeah. It's going to hurt. But you don't have to retreat. And again, it's a mindset of, I think, guys like you or me, and men and women, you have that mindset of like, all right, I'm going to go as far as my limits can take me. Then I might push a little bit past that. But that whole time, God, I need you to cover me. I need you to protect me. I need you to strengthen me. I need you to restore me. I've spent so much of my effort. I'm completely empty now, God. Can you just actually pick me up and carry me? Like, or drag me, kicking and screaming. I'm okay with that too. Yeah, whatever works. But that mindset, you see people nowadays where they incur one little instance of failure. And this is plaguing the younger generation. It's absolutely plaguing them. One instance of failure, one person tells them don't do it. One person says they can't, and they're like, I can't do it. I tried one time. What?
Right.
You tried one time? Muster up grab your pair and get moving, get back in it.
Yeah.
Like, I love that idea of you have a, was it a drill sergeant, or what are the guys that are yelling at the guys to get through it?
Yeah. Probably the drill instructor or something.
Yeah. But you have these instructors who are just yelling at them. And sometimes they're like, come on, just tap out. And they're messing with your mind. And this is what the enemy does all the time. Yeah, just tap out. Yeah, just quit. Yeah, just make a sacrifice on your character right now and text that person. Go ahead, I dare you to. Just make one little sacrifice. Or they're doing the opposite and they're like, come on, keep going. You got more. Let's go. Oh, that's nothing. That log does not weigh 500 pounds. Yes, it does. And so, like, that idea of, like, just that instructor, right, yelling in your face, yelling in your ear, encouraging you, but then challenging you. That's God's word all day long.
Yeah.
Always. Everybody wants to be comforted in Psalms. Nobody wants to be confronted in Romans. That mentality of, like, I just want comfort and I want to feel good. Dude, following Jesus has caused me a lot of pain. Not because of him,
right,
but because I'm willing to go the distance in following.
Right.
I don't care what people say. This is the wonderful thing when you cross over into the 40s. You remember that? It was like a couple days ago, right?
It's over a decade now for me, but okay.
Yeah. You're like, okay, baby.
I've earned these gray hairs.
To me when you hit your 50s. But, like, when you cross over in your late 30s, early 40s, you really do hit a season where you're just like, I gave way too much mind to people who don't matter at all.
Right.
Everybody's worried about what other people think. Who cares? I got one creator. I got one God who's going to hold me accountable. And he's the provider, Jehovah Jireh, my provider, not you. So you're not paying my bills. You're not who I'm accountable to. You're not authoring the check on my salvation. So pound sand, Sally. I don't care what you think. I'm going to keep rolling. I'm going to keep grinding, and I'm going to keep following no matter what. And that's the mentality we have to have, is we're never out of the fight.
Yeah. And as you were talking, it reminded me of the parable of the soils, and where the seed gets sown, and Jesus said the condition of it's a mirror of the condition of your heart. Some seeds get thrown on the path that gets stolen by the birds because they're just hard-hearted. It doesn't go in. Some of it goes and it flourishes quickly, but it's stony ground. It has no deep root. So as soon as it gets hot, it withers and dies. Like you were saying, and then some, it's in good soil, but it's good soil, but it's not cultivated soil. So the weeds and the thorns choke it out, because I can't grow the stuff I want to grow, but I will grow the hell out of some weeds and thorns. They're all up in my yard.
Dude, you should see my garden up here. It's like, it's massive now, and it just keeps getting bigger every year. I can grow some stuff, man. I'm learning, I'm growing. Like, we grew, I think it was like 45 by 125 feet, the garden. Oh yeah. We started a little mini farm. It was awesome.
And but that doesn't, the seeds, it has to be watered, but not too much. You got to pull the weeds, because the weeds will take all the nutrients meant for the seeds. And again, I just go back to this idea, and our pastor just preached a message on Galatians 6:9, and let us not grow weary of doing good, for in due season we will reap if we do not give up. If we choose to dig our roots down deep, even though the sun is hot. If we choose to say no to the temptations and the concerns of this world, whether that's financial, whether it's job security, what a crazy line that is. That's an oxymoron today.
I don't know what that is.
Right? We do. It's so much easier to go after comfort and to go after relief.
Right.
And instead, what we learn to do through these trials, through the stuff that we go through, is
you learn to do hard shit.
Right. You learn
do hard stuff.
Oh, that's not going to kill me.
Yeah.
And you learn to find refuge in God. Even when you felt in the moment, you feel like he's not there. On the back end, you look and you know he's there, which is super weird. It's like you can't explain it. And, in Romans 5, it talks about rejoicing when you run into problems and trials. In James, it talks about, consider it joy when you experience this because.
Yeah.
But the whole thing, and Jesus said it, you've got to go through my suffering. You've got to go through the things I went through if you want the rewards I get. We're going to get rewards for
it's
the
mentality.
Shit we go through.
It's the mentality of dying to self, like you talked about earlier.
Yeah.
And that's what these guys in Buds are doing. And that's what we're doing in everyday life. And it's so funny, man. Like people say, yeah, you got to die to self. Okay. Have you ever asked yourself the question, what does that look like? What does that take? There's a death.
Yeah.
And where we're mortally alive, do we have enough capacity in our brains to fathom what a death of self really, really is? Because it may be going, like I said, to that dark place where you're like, I want to quit. I want to ring the permanent bell. Yeah. It may be, hey, I want to bow out of my marriage, or I want to bow out of parenting, or I want to bow out of, following Christ in the way that he's called me. Like that whole idea of dying to self, it sounds great on paper in scripture. It sounds wonderful. It sounds beautifully poetic. But when you freaking do that, it is brutal. It's absolutely brutal. But it takes you to a place like you were just talking about where you're like, I'm so reliant on him that I don't even know. Again, like the statement, I met Jesus at the end of myself. Yeah. You ever heard that before? Yeah. Yeah. When you die to self and you go through that process, it is a death process. There are things in you that cannot go forward. The same thing with the guys in Buds. Hey, there's weaknesses because that's what they're doing. Yeah. They're trying to purge and purify. They're trying to remove all the physical and all the mental weaknesses that you have. God's doing the same thing with us our entire lives. Let me take out the impurities so that what is good and what is godly can go forward. And here's the funny thing, man, is like I've found that until the thing, whatever God's trying to get to and kill that cannot go forward, it's so hard to move into another season or up into another level of understanding or wisdom or life. It's so hard to go to that next level when you're dragging old baggage, when you're dragging old wounds, and you're dragging the things that won't be able to allow you to sustain in the next season. You'll go in there and you'll start the next season, but those things, if they're not purified, will take you right out of that season.
Right. That idea of we're not even ready for what's next until we've gone through this.
Yeah. And that's what those instructors know.
Yeah.
They know you're not ready. So they're just pounding you until you're ready.
Right. And so going back to the book, at the end of Hell Week, there's one of the drill instructors is talking. He says, gentlemen, for the rest of your lives, there will be setbacks, but they won't affect you like they will affect other people because you have done something very few are ever called upon to achieve. This week will live with you for all of your lives. Not one of you will ever forget it. And it means one thing above all else. if you can take Hell Week and beat it, you can do any damn thing in the world.
Those are facts.
Right? And it's that same thing. Like when you go through that, when we go through our initiation, our training, the spiritual word is sanctification.
Mm-hmm. Right.
As we grow up, all those childish things have to be put away. All the going for an extra donut when we need to be praying. All the scrolling.
Extra Oreos.
Yeah. You're scrolling through your social feeds. And because we're looking to that to say, there's a need. I'm looking to this. Could be beer, could be porn, could be socials, could be, not to hit you, Rory, it could be working out. But that can easily become the idol. Right? It could be work. It could be ministry of if I give this up, I will die. And again, that's what I love about your story is tell them. There is nothing more painful in that moment that you could have done other than tell them. And we all have those things where it's like, I would rather die than actually share that this happened. I mean, I went through decades of therapy before bringing up the fact that I had been molested. And like you said, when I talked to my wife, it didn't go well because she's like, you could have saved so much time. If you had brought this up years ago to the therapist,
just open your mouth.
You think like, maybe this had an impact on you? I just wanted to pretend it never happened. And like, no, this doesn't affect me. Would actually, no, this sort of poisons the way I see the world. And you have to disentangle that. And there's a process. But it starts with, like you said, the death. It starts with, I've got to kill that. I've got to kill that pride. I've got to kill that arrogance. I've got to kill this part. And I've got to find healing and restoration and integration of all those broken pieces of my heart. And that's what our lives are about. It's training for reigning, I think is something you probably have said, because we are meant to be lowercase kings. I mean, that's what princes do. That's what sons of the king do. They reign. But we need training. We need preparation. We're not ready.
No, we're not made for dominion. We're intended to have it. We're commanded to have it, but it's the training that gets you there.
So as we pivot and turn towards home, we've been through this. And there's verses there that about how God catches our tears. And we talked before about God, I'm going to lean into the pain because I know you're going to use it. God used Jesus' pain to restore and redeem the world. So we got to depend. He's going to do the same with our pain. And so that gives us an attitude. And again, this is something Marcus said. Every Navy SEAL is supremely confident because we're indoctrinated with the belief in victory at all costs. A conviction that no earthly force can withstand our thunderous assault on the battlefield. We're invincible, right? Unstoppable. That's what I believe to the depths of my spirit on the day they pinned the trident on my chest. I still believe it, and I always will. You go through that time where you're considering ending it all.
Yeah.
And you get through it. You get through your version of Hell Week. And by the way, it may not be tapping out, ringing the bell, might not be actually taking your own life. It could be stepping away from the church that you started. It could be checking out as a dad and being like, you know what? I'm a terrible father because I have these thoughts. I'm not going to tell anybody. I'm just going to live with it. I'm going to numb it with drinking and porn and work. And I'm just going to do this. I'm just going to muddle through my life. And we've had those moments. I've had those moments where I'm like, God, where are you? And then the thought comes of like, okay, if I'm not going to trust God in this moment, well, nothing, like Peter says, Lord, you have the words of life. You are like, you're the lifeline. You're the thing I hope for. I know nothing else is going to really work. And even though it's dark, even though we're surrounded by, death, and in this season with close friends have cancer of the uncurable type. And like you said, like, one of my best friends has had cancer for almost 2 years now. And there's this idea, like, it'd be really easy to check out. To say, you know what, this is too hard for me because this is painful for me. And I'm just going to be like, yeah, man, we'll be praying for you. And to distance myself before he's even before he goes home. Right. But I no, I am going to suck the marrow out of this time. I'm going to go to visit him as often as I can. I'm going to spend as much time as we can together. If he calls, I drop everything and answer. I lean into the pain, and I know that it will hurt more. But that pain means it matters. Right? And that pain means I can go through this. I can go to hard places. You can relate to people who are experiencing suicidal thoughts because you've been there. You've been through that valley. It's not just a valley. I'm picturing like lava and craggy rock walls, and like you're walking stone to stone through the lava of any misstep and you're out. You've walked with people and you learn compassion that way. And
your friend in his season, most people are going to turn away from him. Like, I'm not saying that to be an a-hole, but most people are they're just like, I don't want to deal with it. So I'm going to put a gap. I'm going to create distance. Whether they choose to or not, it's going to naturally happen. It's your brain's way of trying to protect you from the hurt. And so it's going to push you away. And I love that you said lean in. Like, I just walked a friend last year through this stage 4 colon cancer, and the prognosis was, you'll be lucky if you squeeze a couple months. So he catches this at the end of the fight. And this man stared death in the face and praised God the whole time while I literally talking with him, watching him waste away to nothing, and then get to the point where he was so emaciated by the treatment that he just goes, hey, I'm done with the treatment. Just pack me up and send me home.
Yeah.
And then I remember the last conversation I had with him, and I hope this is something that speaks to you. I remember the last conversation I had with him and the smiles that were on this man is literally inches from death. Mortality is knocking at his door. He's in his bed. He cannot get out of his bed. And he's smiling. He's like, I'm gonna see Jesus. And I'm like, dude, that's crazy that you're even, like, most people are like, I'm so scared, I'm afraid, like all the fear, all the problems, right, would be rising up. And he's like, I can't wait, man. I'm like, I'm fine with it. And I'm like, how are you fine with this? And he's just like, I don't know. But he's like, there's just something that has come over me. It is the power of the Holy Spirit. And he's just like, it's fine. He's like, I love you guys. Thank you so much for the chapter and roles you played in my life. And just the man went out grateful. In this conversation, 2 days later, he passed away. He stared death in the face, and but lean into that. Because if I was trying to protect myself, I don't want to see my friend in pain.
Right.
Oh my God. And that's the premise of this. The whole entire movie is they're all in pain. Remember, he says, yeah, we're all shot, bro. You still in the fight?
Right.
Yeah, we're all wounded. We're all beat up.
I got
And
shot in the
you guys
fucking
listen to
head?
this episode. Yeah. Yo, that's my favorite line. Are you shot in the head? Yeah, he shot me in the freaking head. And he goes, yeah, you good though? Shove some dirt in it.
Yeah.
Like, all right, let's keep going. And that was my friend's perspective, is like, yeah, listen, I know I'm about to lose my physical life, but I'm excited about what I'm to gain. And he was grateful for the conversations, the prayers, obviously, through it all, and just the time. Like, I remember FaceTiming him, and every time I'd FaceTime him, he's smaller and smaller and sicker looking. And I'm like, dude, ooh. And I'm trying to, like, speak life into this guy, and he's just being brutally honest and so real. And we have to be willing to lean into that pain. We have to be willing to stay in the fight, even up until death or loss of a brother, loss of a person, loss of a friend, loss of a loved one, a parent, whatever it is. Stay in the fight with them. That's the one beautiful thing that I love about this entire movie, is those men never left the fight for each other. They never gave up the fight. My brother's still here. You're still here. There are still other men in this fight. I'm not leaving. I'm shot in the freaking head. I got broken limbs. Like, that's the thing I love about Axe's death scene. It's like going into his death scene. He goes all the way to the point where he doesn't even have a rifle anymore. He's crawling on his forearms, and I think he has like a Beretta left, and that's it. Like, dude, you get what is it? What's that? 15 rounds?
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah,
you're asking the wrong guy for that one.
Anyways, Beretta's not my thing. But I mean, you might have 15. You might have 15 rounds, and he's still in the fight all the way up to the point where, I mean, he can't breathe. He's bleeding out everywhere, but he's still in the fight, and he's not leaving. And I think that the biggest takeaway that all of us could really learn from this is, again, you're never out of the fight. You may feel it. You may think the enemy is completely surrounded, just like in the movie, because those guys were like, push left, left is good. And then all the fire
left
comes from
bad.
left.
Left is bad.
Right. And then they go right, and then the more fire comes from the right, and they're like, off the cliff, let's go. We're going down. Down where?
Right.
Yeah, there's nowhere to go. Just jump.
Yeah.
And it's just like, you just keep going, you keep going. It's perseverance. I think perseverance is probably one of the most godly and biblical qualities that any believer could ever have. Have the perseverance to step into the fights that come your way and stay in the fights until the fight's over. And muster up your faith, because here comes another one.
Yeah. There's no quiet place in this world. I wrote down as you were talking, like, I want to enter glory with an empty clip.
Yo, come on. That's going on a t-shirt.
With just a picture
I want
of
an empty,
with a picture
I want
of
an empty mag at the end of the day.
You know how the pistols like lock back when there's nothing left to chamber.
Yep. Yeah, just
you're just, and that happened to
I want nothing but a smoking chamber.
Yeah. Oh. But the question is,
that's good. That's good.
How do we do that? And it goes back to, and this is how I want to end the podcast.
All right.
Because it's a scene from the beginning of the movie, because that makes sense. But how do we enter glory with an empty clip? How do we give it all on the field? How do we smile when we're inches from the finish line? How do we make it through? How do we live through the pain? How do we get through Hell Week? And
so, yeah, go ahead. Well, in the movie, I think it's Marcus that says it. He says it's part of their mantra too, I think, is anything in life worth doing is worth overdoing. Moderation is for cowards.
Yes.
Now, theologically, that last part, there's a lot of wrestle with that. But the idea, right, of all or nothing, the idea of I'm putting everything on the table. I would flip it and say this: in life, Jesus, following him, eventually is going to require that you put everything on the cross.
Yes.
And that goes back to the death of self. It goes back to all or nothing,
because the
there
more you
Good.
give him, the more of him you get. If I give, and
Yes.
that's a prayer that
Yes.
I've been praying with a buddy of mine. We recently started saying, hey, let's pray together every week. And that's part of the prayer is, I give you everything because I want your everything.
There's an old hymn, and one of the lines in the hymn is, all to him I owe.
Yeah.
Now, if we take that and that's a premise of belief, right? I give it all to Jesus. Most people don't give it all to Jesus. I give you what I can give you, and that's all you
I
get.
give you my sin, but the rest of it's mine.
Yeah. Yeah, give me all the good stuff, and I don't want to be challenged, or I don't want to have to go through any kind of training or trials or anything like that. Just make it good.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, if I give it all to him I owe. I mean, think about it. He's the author and creator of life. So everything you have, even the breath in our lungs, belongs to him. He authored it. He spoke it into creation. He made you who you are. And so everything in you has to be put on that cross. And then I feel like in those moments, that's where Jesus sifts, the men from the boys, the women from the ladies. He sifts, the weak from the warriors. And when you lay it all down, the pieces you get to pick up usually aren't the ones that you lay down. You get to pick up new things that are different, new mentalities, new way of thinking, new wisdoms. You get to pick up new trainings and new abilities. And it's wild, man. Like, this is going to sound so stupidly cheesy, but I seen this a long time ago and it stuck with me. Is there's this like little meme, and it's so cheesy because it looks like a Hallmark thing, and I can't stand Hallmark. But this applies, okay? Just I'm going somewhere. So it's Jesus. This little girl's in front of Jesus, and she's holding a little teddy bear. Have you seen this?
Maybe.
And he's got this giant teddy bear behind his back. And she's like, I don't want to let it go. I don't want to let it go. Yeah, it's so cheesy, but it's us. It's literally us. God's like, I have so much more for you. And we're like, but my little thing, it's my little pet. I love it.
It's what
I
C.S.
pet
Lewis.
it, and then I rip its head off. Like,
you're so violent.
We cling to it, right? But God, this is all I know.
Mm-hmm.
Who cares? He knows so much more. Like, I talk to pastors a lot locally here, and then I'm connected with a bunch of guys all across the country, actually. And so many of them, their identities wrapped up in pastoring.
Yeah.
Like, if they didn't pastor, they wouldn't know who they are.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting here like, God, are we done yet? Can you take it away?
Else,
we're done. We're done, right? Right. I'm like, take it away. I'm fine. I don't care. I don't need it. And that's the way we got to get, Paul, to life is, I don't need any of this. I have it, but I don't need it. And it doesn't make me who I am. Who I am is the man in the battles, the man that extends compassion, the man that will fight to the death, the man that will stand by another man's bedside while he dies, the man who will persevere over, the suicidal and demonic thoughts, the man who will say, yeah, you may have beaten me, but I'm not going to allow that to beat me. Like, you've got to have this mentality. Believers have to understand this, that death to self, it brings new life. And a life where you're not oppressed by demonic thoughts, or you're not oppressed. Now, it doesn't mean they won't come.
Right.
It doesn't mean they won't come. The enemy is relentless. But keep coming. Keep coming. What else you got?
Yeah.
I don't care. Surround us on all sides. Fire on all sides. I'm going to live, like you said, I'm mag dumping and I'm finishing with an empty clip. I'm not going to heaven. Like, that is such a fear. Like, honestly, now that you say that, like, I'm like shaking. It's such a fear. Imagine getting to heaven, right? Ready for this? Imagine getting to heaven, right? And God's like, man, that was cool. But look at all this other stuff that if you would have let that go, we could have done this. I hope he does do that. I hope he's like, hey,
Yeah.
well done. Thank you. You screwed up a lot and you were really annoying, but I love you.
Right.
Like, but that fear of like, I had so much more for you, but we clung to our little things. And it's just that it's that life of living unchained. It's the only freedom I've ever experienced on the face of this earth.
Yeah.
Is the freedom in Jesus Christ. There's no other freedom. Everybody else has authority over you. Everybody else takes money from you. Taxes, I love them. Excuse me. I'm throwing up because I'm talking about the government. Like everybody else, there's checks and balances and authority, and everybody's telling you how to live your life. You go on social media and everybody tells you what to do and how to eat. Everybody's obsessed with telling everybody else. How about we swallow some mind your own business pills and just work on us? And that's where God's going to set you free.
Yeah. Yeah, I loved what you said.
Sorry, man.
Yeah. What you were saying, that freedom is found in our identity and understanding God's identity. You said that doesn't make me who I am.
Yeah.
And so you can say, okay, it doesn't matter if I'm a pastor. To a degree,
no.
My kids don't tell me who I am. My wife, yes, I am a husband, I am a father, but my validation is not dependent on their behavior, their reaction, their response.
Absolutely.
So how do we get through this?
You're 100%.
How do we, like you said, how are we more than conquerors? How can we experience no weapon formed against me will prosper? Weapons will come. They just won't. The gates of hell will shake, which is actually meaning it's not a defensive thing. We're on the offense. How do we do that? And so I want to play the clip. They've got this new guy coming in. He's not really part of the team yet.
Go.
He's not part of the team yet. He's eager. He's eager and inexperience usually leads to you die. You fight bravely and die quickly.
Die quickly. Yes.
But what he expresses, and some of it's a little rough, so it needs to be taken with a grain of salt.
Most of it.
But the attitude of, I know who I am and what I can do. Mm-hmm. I know where my hope is anchored. And when you look at it from that point, this is what we need in order to enter glory with an empty clip.
He's saying.
Can you say it?
Can you say Prove it?
I don't want to watch you dance again. I really don't. You say, Mr. Patton?
Yeah.
Say it. Okay.
Yeah. Fuck it up. Baby, come on. No more fucking around. Come on.
Been around the world twice. Talked to everyone once. Seen 2 whales fuck. Been to 3 world fairs. And I even know a man in Thailand with a wooden cock. I push more Peter, more sweeter, and more completer than any other Peter pusher around. I'm a hard-bodied, hairy-chested, rootin', tootin', shootin', parachuting, demolition, double cap, crimping frogman. There ain't nothing I can't do. No sky too high, no sea too rough, no muff too tough. Learned a lot of lessons in my life. Never shoot a large caliber man with a small caliber bullet. Drive all kinds of trucks. 2x, 4x, 6x. Those big motherfuckers that bend and go when you step on the brakes. Anything in life worth doing is worth overdoing. Moderation's for cowards. I'm a lover, I'm a fighter, I'm a UDT Navy SEAL diver. I'll wine, dine, intertwine, then sneak out the back door when the refueling is done. So if you're feeling froggy, then you better jump, because this frogman's been there, done that, and is going back for more. Cheers, boys.
Paul says, I can do it all through the one who makes me who I am.
Mm-hmm.
And that's that confidence. Man, it's shit around me. Pain is all around me. Pain is even within me. But I can do it all through the one who makes me who I am, because I've been around the world. I've done this. I've seen this. I have been through my initiation. I have been through the pain. I've been through my hell week. and I know where my hope is. I know where my anchor is. I know who has the words to life. And that's how I do it. That's how I get through it. And that's why this movie, I think that's why we love this movie, is it portrays the spiritual reality of the world we live in, but also is like, from a spiritual standpoint, this is how you're going to make it.
That whole idea of like knowing whose you are. You know, there are a lot of things we do as men, right? And I think the whole concept of like, how do we do it? How do you make it through these kind of intense battles? How do you go through these trials and come out unscathed? No, you don't come out unscathed. Right. Half the time you come out crawling. Like, am I bleeding? Am I shot in the freaking head? Like, but we go into these battles. And again, it's doing. These guys are training. They're trained to become the most elite warrior force on the face of the planet, right? And all of their training is what they retreat back to. Well, the same goes for us as believers. What have you trained for? Have you trained for battles that you've never had yet? Like, oh my gosh, God forbid we prepare, right? Prepare a way for the Lord. God forbid we train for things we haven't been through yet. Or put contingency plans in place so that when this happens in my faith, in my life, then I know what to resort back to. That's the thing they tell these guys all the time. Resort back to your training. What were you trained to do? Because when the fire comes, when the heat comes, when the enemy comes at you and he starts ripping limb from limb, the only thing you're going to be able to rest back on is your training. And so if you're trained in God's word, if you're trained in understanding and belief, and you know where your identity comes from, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what the enemy says to you. It doesn't matter what the enemy throws at you. You know where your identity lies. This is why you see such a crisis now. Our country's in an absolute identity crisis. They don't know who they are. They're pretending to be something they're not in all ways. And they don't know who they really are. If we strip all the titles away from us, who are you? Well, I'm going to go back to God. For me, if someone says that to me, I'm going to go back to God's word. And God says, oh, we can go right back to this. God says, I'm more than a conqueror. God's word speaks to my identity. He's the one that created my identity. It doesn't rest in anywhere else. It doesn't rest in anything I do. Yeah. Now, what I'm doing, I'm doing something, but that's me doing it. That's Rory doing it. It's not, if you remove that, then I don't know who Rory is. No, Rory's being a pastor. Rory's being a podcaster. Rory's doing this. And so I don't know if it formed a long time ago. I'm sure pieces have accumulated over time. But when you know that you know that you know that your identity is rooted in Christ, then all of the things he says about you, you know, will come true. So no matter what comes your way, no matter what enemy surmounts against you, it doesn't matter. Go through the fight, never stop fighting, and know whose you are.
Yeah. And you've got, at the very beginning, they're like, say it. Can you say it? It's like, oh, we've got a cloud of witnesses that are like, come on, say it. Say it. Ooh. Can you say it? I
didn't even see that until now. You just Tarantino'd that whole thing. That was awesome.
And so, I think one of the reasons, Rory, you and I hit it off like right away, and we could talk for hours, and we have talked for hours.
It's gonna be the longest podcast.
It's gonna be a long podcast, but as we sort of talked about before, and no arrogance, no pride, but game recognizes game. And we see a spiritual Spartan in each other. We see a guy who's been through the shit.
Come on.
We've been downrange.
Yeah.
And even like, if we are sharing what we learned so that other guys, it's like, well, maybe we should listen to this guy. He's a Navy SEAL. He's a war hero. And we've been through our own shitstorms,
our own wars,
our own firefights. And we're like, look, guys, here's what you got to do. Some will listen, some won't, and some will ring that bell. But again, that's not a reminder that that's not on us, because that's not our identity.
Yeah.
And so I just, man, I appreciate you taking the time to come on here. But man, every time we've got to have a conversation, man, I've appreciated it every time. So thank you.
Same. Just tell them, man. Thanks for the new mantra. I appreciate it. I'm going to roll with it. Just tell them. Just tell them. I think a lot of men would be set free if you just open your mouth and just tell them. Just tell them. Because I love what you said about it's not on you.
Yeah.
Their reaction isn't on you. That's their reaction. That's their deal. Stop making their problems your problems.
Yeah.
Just tell them. Go ahead. I appreciate you, man, very much. And I think, like I said, you know, God brings people in your life for certain reasons and certain seasons, and our connection and relationship is continuing to grow. And hopefully, you'll be coming to camp with us this year. No more freaking hurricanes. I rebuke that. No more. But I tell you what, man, you're right. And just tell them. Just tell them about Jesus and tell them what he's done in your life. That's the most powerful testimony you can ever share with any other human being. You don't have to sit there and beat them over the head with scripture. Just tell them.
And sometimes you got to tell yourself. You got to remind yourself.
Hey.
It's like, oh, wait, I'm feeling this, but what's the truth? And you got to, and that's, I think our message too, is like the reason we do the things we do is because this is what we've learned. This is what we've experienced. And a lot of times this is what we need. Right. It's crazy to me how many times I'll go back, like I'll record a podcast. It'll be maybe a few months and I'll go back and it's like, oh man, I needed to hear this message today.
I love it.
So
that's so true, man.
So if people wanted to check out your Dangerous Man podcast, where would they go other than Google Dangerous Man podcast?
Yeah, you can go online to dangerousmanpodcast.com. You can go, we're on X at, I think it's just at Dangerous Man Podcast. Literally, if you look that up, just look for the little yellow skull. Just look for the little yellow skull, because there actually is another podcast named that. But they've been out of commission for like a year anyways. Well, hopefully we just keep running strong. Let's go, baby. But you can check us out on all podcast platforms, every single app that you listen to. You can check us out, the DM Army at Facebook. And we're on Instagram too as well.
All right. And I'll have all the links in the show notes and on the website and all that stuff. So, Rory.
Thank you, boss.
Thank you. This has been Paul McDonald and Rory Lawrence talking about Lone Survivor. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope you guys got something out of it and are hopefully encouraged. And if not, what's wrong with you? And so
awesome, man. Thank you so much, Paul. I appreciate you.
Yeah, I hope you join us next time here on the Men at the Movies podcast.
Something inside has been awakened. I can no longer be who I was before. But if I am no longer who I was, who am I to be?